All right, so we're in a lead gen lab, so we'll start out with a quick game. So this is not a game where you have to raise your hand. If you, whatever answer is first thing that comes to your head, you can just blurt out the answer. Okay? So name a brand of toothpaste.
Colgate.
Okay, Crest, Colgate, was there any other ones? Yeah, that's it. Those are usually the first few. Let's try again. So let's give me a brand of potato chip. Guys, Lay's. Okay. Give me a brand of soda pop.
Coke.
Coke, I heard Dr. Pepper. That it? Okay. Usually there's one random Mountain Dew. All right, now give me the name of the most prominent realtor in your area.
Sneeze. Oh, sorry.
That was good, but there was a lot of silence too. A lot of people we Megan and I talked about that. We joked a little bit that, you know, you could come today and you could actually learn, you know, everybody's always looking for that one secret for real estate magic pill, because you're here and on time, you get it right off the bat. And here's what it is that your success in real estate is going to be directly attributable to the number of people that when they think of real estate, they think of you. You're the Crest. You're the Lay's. You're the Dr. Pepper. That's the key. Now, getting there is a challenge, and as being a lead gen lab, that's what we're going to get into a little bit of what it is. But in its simplest form, that's really all it is in this business. Because if you look at the top agents, and they do interviews with many of them all the time, you'll pick it up at Mega Camp, you'll pick it up at Steph, you watch Family Reunion, you know, it's what this entire book is. And basically it was an interview with agents. They talk about, okay, what are you doing to get business? What does your lead gen look like? And what do you look like? And there's dozens, if not hundreds of different ways to do it. But if the top agents, all of them, top three, one of those answers is going to be David's every time. And that's the key. So that's what we're going to kind of dig into a little bit on way to do that. And, you know, if you have jot this down, if you don't have a copy of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, you should put that on your list. But page 138 gets into where can business come from? And you're going to see a whole bunch of things on there. You know, you can kind of take a look at it. But part of it is just shifting your mindset in that this is not a job. Okay, you are a business owner. Okay, and as a business owner, you got to invest in your business and figure out how you want to invest and where you want to invest. Now, the good news is it's a lot cheaper to get a real estate business up and going than it is a restaurant. I mean, the investment is really very reasonable, but you still got to be smart in how you do it. And think of it this way. Your database is the only asset that your business has. I mean, there's nothing else. You know, so you want to look at it regularly. You want to protect it. You want to nurture it. You want to grow it. You want to feed it. You want to take care of it, because when it comes down to in the end run, your database is all you have. That's what your business is going to be based on. So let's talk a little bit about who is your database? Anybody who's in your database?
Friends.
Friends, family, neighbors.
Soccer moms.
What's that?
Soccer moms.
Soccer mom, sure. Or whatever sports organization you're with. It's like, that's one of the bonuses. My son and I are coaching flag football for 6th grade boys this year. I just picked up a dozen people that are going to be in my database for the season. That really made me feel old too. I had one of my buddies reach out to me. He goes, "You realize that this is your 5th decade in coaching flag football?"
Oh.
Wow.
Why did you say that?
Yeah. He could get away with it. But you know, but that's really, yeah, so you can kind of get it from everywhere. And here's a statistic that's really stunning, is that, and So the National Association of Realtors does surveys of home buyers and home sellers every year. And one of the statistics that's pretty constant, no matter what the market conditions, is people that bought a home recently or in the last year, 72% of them indicate that they will use the same agent when they go to sell the home down the line. Reality, on average, only about 18% actually do. So what does that tell you?
We're not following up enough.
We're not following up enough. But from your business, your database point of view, what it should tell you is that 82% of the homeowners out there are fair game. How do you want to build your database?
What's always amazed me about that is people talk about, I want to be a relationship agent. I want to be a relationship agent. As soon as they get the commission check, they drop the relationship because they want to work on the now business, not the insurance.
Right. And that's great because we're going to talk about that. That's great. So what does that look like? People that are in your database. Where's the mark? So I want to draw what this looks like. So if you look at all the people that are available out there, let me turn that off. Okay, that's kind of a circle. Work with me here. So the outer part of this circle, this is your general public. So this is anybody, okay? Everybody out there, once you walk out the door, they may fall into this category. Second one in, this is your target group. Okay, so what I mean by target group is you may not necessarily know them, but it's a group you want to go after and you want to market and you want to make them part of your database. The easiest example of that would be a farm area. Okay, you're going in and say, I want to work this subdivision, I want to have a part of it. So you're focusing on them. You go in the next group. And this is your med group. Okay, you know these people. They know who you are. And there's a possibility that if they were in a real estate transaction, they might use you. Okay. And then in the middle is your allied resources. These are the people that wouldn't consider using anyone else, or at least are more than likely that if I'm in real estate, Nate's my guy. They're there to support you. And it may be at different levels. Now, there's different ways that you're going to do that on how you reach these people. So if we go to the outside, this could be prospecting and marketing is how you're reaching the general public. In other words, that could be an expired. It could be a for sale by owner. It could be something that's out there that, somebody that doesn't know you, you're running an advertisement in a sports calendar, for the ladies football, those types of things. You're just putting your name out there with the idea that they may find out who you are. This in here with your MEC group, this would be an example that you might be doing a 12 direct. Get more on these terms as you read your Millionaire Real Estate. So these be the people that, you're touching once a month, okay? You're mailing a postcard to your farm area, to try to reach these people and try to build that up and get them to know a little bit more. MEC group, this is your 8x8s. This is your 33 touch. Or is it 36 now? I don't know. I saw a different number.
There's a podcast that came out this week where she talks about a 33 touch, but they're also at Mega Camp is going to be somebody that has a 72 touch. I think if I could just get you to do a 12 touch, I would like throwing a party. Start somewhere.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying. The reason I brought that up is because I don't think it really matters. Okay, the point is regular content, regular communication. Don't get hung up in am I doing 33? And there's a lot of different ways to do that. check in the book, I think, page 138, as I recall. Yeah, 138 is your different prospecting, different marketing things you're gonna do. But example of difference of 33 touch, it could be in there. So this is anything. This could be emails, mailings, letters, cards, drop-bys, personal brochure, sending market reports, just sold, just listed, holiday cards, personal newsletter, recipe cards.
So it could be either a prospecting or marketing in the 33 touch, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be, but you're usually probably getting most bang for your buck if you're 33 touch off of people that you know. Okay, I'm not suggesting it, but what you bring up a good point, because I'm not suggesting you're gonna launch a 33 touch to an area where you don't know anybody. Okay, but your goal all along the way, whatever this is, and the 8x8s, I won't go into that there in the, and actually Command has a ton of 8x8 plans in there. You can go into the library and learn about those. But basically, the whole thing is designed to move people closer to the center. That's what the whole thing is driven into, so that you get more value out of your database by creating allied resources. Allied resources, those are the people that are going to war with you. Okay, that not only am I going to use Stephanie when I go to buy my house, but if I get in a conversation with somebody and they're talking about buy or sell, and I'm going, hey, Stephanie's the one you need to call. She is awesome. There, dude. Now, when it comes to allied resources, you're going beyond this. Okay, if you got somebody that's openly supporting you and you're referring business, that needs to be a regular lunch team. That needs to be something you're taking care of. You get an extra ticket to the Royals game, that's who you're calling. Those are the people that you're taking care of and making sure that, you keep that relationship going. Make sense? Questions on any of that? Okay, so now what you want to do to move people closer to the center is, how do you want to do that? How can you make that interesting? Because if I bought a home recently, I'm in a different bucket than a guy who's thinking about buying in 90 days, right? So let me show you what that looks like and how it affects what you're doing with your marketing and all these things that are out there. So think of it this way. This is the life cycle of somebody's home buying journey. Their life, they may buy 3 homes. So at this point, they are purchasing a home. Those are people actually involved in a real estate transaction. Okay. They do investment properties, and maybe more. You got more bubbles, more hills, whatever you want to call them. Okay. Now, when you're on that path, we love the people that are there because they're thinking about it. They're close. They're actively, I may do something soon, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. They're thinking about doing something. So a lot of our activities tend to be right here. Now, the day after somebody buys and closes on their house, this is a quick drop down to here. The day after my closing, the last thing I'm thinking about is what my next house looks like. Unless you're my wife. First week we're in the house, you start making a list of all the things that we're going to be having in the next house. That was 27 years ago. We're still in the same house. But that's the case. So when you think about what does your marketing look like, what does your conversations look like, what are you doing in that part? Because that's the part that's a longer period of time where you need to provide value and actually give people a reason to still be thinking about you, even though they're not here. So think about it that way. Now, that's just another way to look at it as far as how you're building those allied resources and how you're moving people closer to the center to have a database that's going to give you benefit. So What is that? How do you do that? How do you build that relationship so it has some value to those people? So that they actually care about you more than just once every 7 years. Okay? And you may have seen this before. I think Chris actually did this once. That's what we call a trust triangle. And that they have a relationship with you that's built on trust. There's really 3 elements to the trust triangle. First point is authenticity. If you want to build trust with people and have a more effective database, you got to be real. Okay? They got to know that you're just not trying to get the sale. And that's key. I mean, you get to that point, your business will show a difference. I guarantee it, because people can see it. They know. So know what your strengths are and how to do that. You know, if you come in and you have what we call commission breath every time you talk to somebody, yeah, you're not moving them anywhere closer to the center of that circle. Okay? You've got to have some authenticity in who you are. The second point of the triangle is empathy. That you truly have to care, because without empathy, you can't have trust. Okay. You know, they won't trust you if they think you're in it for yourself. You truly have to care about them, their outcome, and what they're going through at any particular time. And 3 is logic. What we mean by that is they agree with your thought process. Okay. They think you have the ability to make good judgment, especially in a business sense. Okay. Not that life doesn't count, but look in a business sense. But you have to have all these things if you want to have a database that works for you, supports you, and is there to help build your business with you. Okay. Make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, if not, let's move right on. So there was a little survey done that was talking with agents on topic, performing agents on what do you provide? What do you do? What do you do during that lower part of the hill to get people to like you, to actually provide value to people when they're not buying a house? And there was some interesting trends that there was a lot of similarities on what the top people were doing. And you ought to think about looking at your business and what you're providing to people. Here's the list of what was the top 5 answers on how to bring value to your database. Number 1 was a vendor list. So you should have in your back pocket relationships with people that provide services other than buying and selling houses, whether it be roof repair, dry rot, carpet cleaning, carpet stretching, junk hauling off, lawn work, both regular, long-term, or the quick, I need somebody to mow my lawn once. Whatever the case might be, you need to be a resource that they can call you. Now, here's what I think about it is, and I remind my database of this about once a year, is that I don't recommend putting together a vendor list and sending it out. Okay, for a couple of reasons. One, that plumber that you love, ends up being on the local news for doing something that's not quite appropriate, either with his business or personally. All of a sudden, his name and number is associated with you and your mail. Okay. And I educate my people that I know people in every facet of what you need for your home. And if you need anything, there's only one number you have to remember.
So,
You call me and I'll get you sent. I'll tell you an actual story that was real. So I had this lady call me, and I had helped her sell her father's property when it was in the States, probably 10 years before the call, maybe. She called me and she goes, hey, I want to talk to you about our foundation. Like, okay, so what's going on? She goes, well, we got a problem with it. So we got 2 bids right now. One of us for 35 grand. The other one's for 40. And I was like, so, who'd you get these bids from? They actually gave me the foundation company. And I was like, Barbara, let's do something different. You're getting bids from people who are in the business of making those repairs. So do this for me. I said, it's gonna cost you $400 or $500, but I'm gonna give you a name of a structural engineer. And have a structural engineer come out, let them do an evaluation of what's really going on. And then you can take that report to a foundation company. You say, here, bid this. You were talking about tens of thousands of dollars. This might be worthwhile. She calls me back a week later. She goes, most amazing thing happened. She goes, the guy that came out here said basically it was the soil conditions that have been causing this. Everything was very dry. Things caused shifting. It might not be a permanent problem. He's recommending that we water for the next couple of months and we should be fine. She thinks I just saved her 40 grand. And, it's just that thought process of knowing, who do you have in your back pocket? And I tell even my vendors that I put on the list, I tell them what I'm doing. I said, you're going to be on this list. And I'm going to tell my clients that I expect you to respond in a timely fashion. And I expect you to have competitive rates. I'm not telling them I expect them to be the cheapest guy on the block, but you have competitive rates. So I hold them to a standard as well. And I'll even ask my people in my database with the same mailer, who have you worked with in the last year that should be on my list? And yeah, I'll get a couple of calls on that one every time. So that is just one thing where you're bringing value to your database. Number 2, teaching, providing information. Are you doing a home buyer seminar? Are you doing an investment seminar? Chris, how many MREI presentations have you done?
I couldn't even count. And every year after family reunions vision speech, Gary goes over the economy. The 3 weeks I send it out to all of my owners, potential buyers, and I do the same vision speech.
Yeah, I've taken the slides and done presentations with local clubs.
He gives you the slides.
Yeah. So you gotta, teach, and be a part, which kind of leads into number 3. I know what that is. You are expected to be the economist of choice for the people that know you. Do you know what the current inventory levels are and how to explain? Does anybody know? You want to know? Okay, I'll explain it to you. We measure supply as far as inventory in a term that's called months of supply. Okay, and what that means is that we measure the amount of homes that are for sale at any given time that will sell if everything's sold in 6 months. Okay, so you have a gauge of what is a seller's market and a buyer's market. A balanced market is right in the middle, and that's considered 6 months of supply. Okay, so if it's greater than 6 months of supply, you have a buyer's market. If it is less than 6 months of supply, you have a seller's market. A couple of years ago, and I would explain this to people, I'd actually, this is a balanced market. I said balance is 6 months. And this was 2 years ago. I would say currently we're at 0.7. Okay, that's why people were getting 20 offers, because our inventory level was that low. We're surging now. It's 2.1 last month, but it was the first time we've seen a number over 2 in 3 or 4 years. Okay, so we're moving to that, and they call it an economic cycle because it goes like this. Okay, it'll come around. that number will slowly increase, and despite any government intervention, the market will correct that over time, and we'll get back to a balanced market.
In the Great Recession, we had years of upper bracket availability, right? Years.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy, and you know, and that's why, you know, if you've been in the business for less than 5 years, you're a little bit spoiled. I tell you, you know, that is just the reality of it. I mean, you're learning the process of, okay, how do I handle multiple offer situations? I can remember a time, and it doesn't feel like that long ago because I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but where, you know, you're sitting down with a seller after 30 days, explaining to them why they've only had 2 showings. And they're trying to say, well, it's obviously the picture of diet. Okay. But if I don't have the skills to explain what market supply is, you know, I lose that argument. I'm going back to the office and redoing the flyer. Taking a different picture. You know, so it's in a lot of different things. So, you know, knowing the trends, knowing what the neighborhoods does. So when you're going into a listing appointment, do you know what's going on in that neighborhood? Do you know what the average sale, do you know? Right now, I tell you what, a big one is days on the market when you're going to a listing presentation, because I guarantee you the number you're gonna find, look, in the last 60 days versus 6 months ago is gonna be different. That's the kind of data you need to be in. And it's people want to know. And I shared this story, I think we were sitting in an ALC meeting the other day, and we were talking about the law change. And I was at a men's group, and you know, we meet on Friday mornings, you know, at the church, and we have breakfast together and then break into groups. But you know, there was, I think there was about 15 or 20 of us. You know, we're having breakfast at this long table, you know, and I'm kind of down at the end of the table. And one of the guys had heard about it. So I heard about these changes in the news law, you know, what's going on? You know, so I started telling him about it a little bit, you know, just in an overview. And, you know, and I look up and everybody at the table is watching me. Okay. Because I'm viewed with that group, they know me well, is I'm the economist of choice for that area. I'm the expert on what's going on in real estate, and I become the resource. Are you that with your database? Are you that when you go to present a listing presentation? Do you have knowledge of what's going on? So spend time looking at that. Those market stats, you'll see market stats come out from MLS every week. You know, and learn how that works. You know, if you're talking about months of supply, how do you go in and break it down by city or neighborhood? You know, those kinds of things can make a difference. They can make a difference when you decide if you want a farm. What's the turnover rate? How many homes are selling in the areas? Does it justify pouring money into marketing to a real estate if nothing sells? That's the kind of things where you need to be into the numbers. Numbers are a big part of this, and you got to be able to relay that to people.
When, because you're in the market right now, are you seeing price changes as a KPI?
I'm seeing more price changes, yes, and a reaction in the market. You can see when people price incorrectly, a lot more clearly. You know, I had a guy, and I went back and forth with him on an expired that I lost out on. But, you know, the guy, he just couldn't get around to breaking up with his best friend who was his listing agent before, even though he, you know, I was able to explain to him what he was doing. And it's like, I want to text him right now and say, you say you are going to make the same mistake twice, but numbers wise, that's exactly what they've done, because they're not looking at the price of however many days in the market over there. And he probably won't reduce. So I have a feeling I'm going to have another opportunity, you know, because his friend was not well educated. I was going to use a more harsh word. But you know, it comes down to knowing it and studying it and being aware of it. Fourth is quarterly events. Creating ways to be face to face with your people time to time. Our office is we always do Deanna Rose, which was super cheap to do. We usually do trunk or treat, you know, around Halloween. You can come up with a couple on your own, you know, but quarterly events, people that are producing a lot of real estate business are doing quarterly events, are creating opportunities to where people can come and see you face to face on something that has nothing to do with real estate. Okay, you know, once, and I think the Lees did it, I think they rented out a theater. You know, and get a, you know, if you're in a relationship with your vendors, your lenders, et cetera, guess you can get to pay for it.
Yep.
You know, or at least get cooperation from it, so it takes less money from you. So quarterly events is a big part of it. Last. Is promoting a community cause as part of your business. What is your charitable attachment? People in it, you know, things that you can do a fundraiser for, and you can set up a GoFundMe, something that's non-real estate related, something that doesn't benefit you personally, but something you care about. That can be a part of your business. That doesn't cost anything to do, but brings value to you, value that your clients to see, that raises that. Make sense? Okay. So it gets into how do you do this efficiently? How do you actually do it? We talked about what we need to do. Let's drift a little bit into how we need to do it. And the very simplest part to get started is blocking out your time. Do time blocking. Time blocking is not time schedule. That's the people who get confused on this or they get overwhelmed on this because they make it their time blocking and it turns into a calendar. You know, at this time I'm going to do this time I'm going to do this time I'm going to do, you know, without, you know, and it gets lost in that because then it feels like, oh, okay, by the end of the day, you know, I've created a calendar. There's no way I can keep up with it. And at the end of the day, you feel like you failed. Okay. Start simple. Okay. You need to work on your database on a regular basis. We talked about feeding it, nurturing it, looking at it, being aware of it. Set a time to time block what your database lead gen looks like each day. And if that's the only thing on your time block schedule, that's a win. I'm going to spend 2 hours doing this. I can tell you every day I spend at least 1 hour in the morning doing nothing but just working my database. Not any other type of prospect or marketing, just going through my database, updating. You know, I'm going to send somebody, I can tell you, I send the CMA to everybody in my database twice a year. That's not, CMA is probably an overstatement. Basically, I'm just printing out souls in their name. I'm saying, by the way, if you're thinking about, you know, this can be useful for your long-term financial planning, just so you know what's going on in your neighborhood. You want to know what your neighbor's house sold for, great. When it comes time to sell, here you go. Yeah, so that's an opportunity to touch that. So just set a time and just get it done. So then the question becomes, what does failure in a database look like? What are the things that would cause your database not to be as effective and profitable as it should be? Any ideas?
Inactivity,
Inactivity? So not communicating,
just, yes.
not communicating.
Not communicating.
Yeah, which is very similar. I mean, yeah, you're just not keeping in there or maybe you're not updating your database. You're sending stuff to people that don't exist anymore or moved to Alaska and you didn't know about it.
Feed messages about you and not them.
Yeah. What's another one real obvious one? I want to show you why here in a sec. You just don't have enough people in.
Supposed to say about feeding.
You're not feeding, you're not growing. And let me show you. Let's just look at an example of what that looks like. So. Let's say for purpose of example, you want to grow a database. And let's say, what's a good number? Let's say 500 people, which is quite a few, but there are people that have a whole lot more. Some people have a whole lot less, but let's just say you have 500 in your database. Somebody's going to need a calculator. So I have 500. How often are people moving these days? It used to be 7 years. Somebody said it's a little bit longer now.
I've heard like 8.5 for
8.5. So let's go 8 because, you know, that's how often they move. You got some people are also gonna buy an investment property cost. It actually brings that number down. They're not actually moving, so it kind of skews that. So let's say 8. Everybody buys once every 8 years. So take 500 divided by 8. That should tell you. Give us a number.
62.5.
62.5. Everybody agree? Okay. So 63 people that are going to actively be involved in a real estate transaction in the next 12 months. In your database. You're not gonna get them all. You know, there's some people who are gonna slip through the cracks, maybe people sell it for themselves, or maybe people that pass it down to members of the family. I drove through a neighborhood one day and there was a sign in front yard, the guy was in my way. You're gonna miss someone. But let's just say, what would be an acceptable conversion? 70? I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say 40. That also gives us some margin of error for maybe not that many people. Maybe it is 90. You know, maybe the number is yours. So we'll just go 40%. So what's 40% of 63? 63 times 0.4.
What was the question? Say all the numbers again.
25.
25? Okay. Okay, any kind, your economist of choice, what is the average sale price in the Kansas City metro area? Say 250, it's actually about 350. What's the average sale price in Johnson County? It's like 500. 450.
This office is 319, so.
319. Average overall, that's an overall number?
Yes.
319. Let's go with 319 then. So 319, also, this might surprise some of you. Chris, what's the average commission running in our office? So what, 2.8, 2.7?
2.74.
2.74.
2.74. So what's 319,000 times 2.74? 0.0274.
87.
Is that
87.40.
8740? So 8,740.
Correct.
What's that times 25?
218. 515.
Is that an acceptable level of income?
Absolutely. Yes.
That's gross commission. If you want more than 218,000, what do you need to do?
So
Well,
Add
yes.
to your database.
No, you need to grow your database. What does it look like if your database is 700? What does it look like if your database is 1,000? There are many agents in our company that have 10,000 people in the database. It costs more. But the math is there. If you're doing it right, you'll get this return, if not more. Because I mean, we were pretty pessimistic on our conversion. Well, I would like to think that 60% of my people in my database would not go the other way. But I keep in mind that's also a farm for me. You know, I've got I'm closer to 700, but it includes my farm. And there are people on my farm that won't do business with. You know, I be quite honestly, there was a Keller Williams agent and up north, I raised in the plaza that listed a home in my neighborhood. I looked it up and like, he sold that house. Good for him. That's exactly how this is supposed to. I celebrate. I don't feel quite as good when I have somebody come in there, which happened to be released recently, and they just told them to talk them into listing a front house for $50,000. I recommend it. You're still sitting there. But, you know, so some of that's gonna happen too, Chris.
So it took me forever to find something of value here, but homeowner tenure has tenure has fallen slightly since its 2020 peak. The length of time that homeowners are remaining in the properties doubled to 11.9 years overall, from 6.5 in 2005. Nearly 40% of baby boomers have lived in their home at least 20 years. Another 16% have lived in their home for more than 10 to 19 years. While Gen Xers, more than a third, 35% have lived in the same home for at least 10 years. So just
Right, which is, when you say that, it reminded me of a conversation I had with a guy the other day who was actually a loan officer. And, you talked about being the economist of choice, and he started running for me, he goes, I'm sure you're running into people that don't want to sell because they're at 2.75. They're 3.25 on their interest rate. And he goes, next question you need to ask them is, how much consumer debt do you have? What's your car? What are your credit cards? And if you have an educated loan officer, they'll run all those numbers. So he just did a refi, a guy who was under 3 on his mortgage, but he was able to lump in everything into a new mortgage at 5 3/4 and saved him $1,500 a month, which he can use to pay it off faster. But the point is don't fall into this trap just thinking, oh, they're low interest, they didn't want to sell. Ask the next question.
I also think if they're living it that long, they have no recollection of what a real estate transaction is actually like. So it's our job to continually update and educate
Right.
how this works.
There's one thing that I started doing recently, is that I'd heard about people doing it before that, when they sell somebody a house that, I think you could, when after they sell a house, I think like a year down the line, you'll send them an anniversary card, happy anniversary, happy house anniversary. For doing that. So I'm like, well, why can that only be reserved to the person that sold the house? I'm sending happy house anniversary cards to everybody. You think, and the thing is now, people have recognized it. There's a lady in our subway owner. She's using a listing. She went for subway owner, but it's in my area, so I just gave her the preview. And she's there, let me in, and she goes, hi, I'm like, hi, I'm 1A. She goes, oh, I know who you are, I recognize you. I have people that I did list, one family that did list with me, he goes, you have been sending us stuff for years, your marketing works. I'm thinking, well, actually, there's one thing. But I'll take it, And it's, I start becoming familiar with it because I'm coming at them with more than, hey, just want to sell your house. I provide value in a lot of different ways to people. That's why, I'm becoming known. So I think, personally, I think market conditions, why I think in the next 4 to 6 months, we're going to see a real surge. I think we're going to come out of this recession and things are going to go really well. I feel like I'm positioning myself right where I need. Are you? So, thank you. Anything else? Let me I wrote down just some quick notes just to close out with that I came across. I do a coaching program, so I've got, this big thick file of stuff I've taught over the last several years. So I'll go in there and just pick out little nuggets. Real estate is famous for shiny ideas, shiny new things. We've gone through the iBuyer stage. We've gone through the Zillow stage. We go through discount broker stage. But if you have an effective database, business will come. You don't have to jump on the new shiny idea. Just have an effective database. Here's the hard part. It's not very exciting to work your database. Success is boring. And that's why some people get turned off on it. They don't see those immediate results and they just quit doing it. Which leads into the next one. Success comes to those who are obsessed with being consistent. If you're communicating with your database and you're providing value, that you're doing it on a regular basis. This is the last one, this is the hard one. Realtors do a lot of things in this job, but if you don't build and nurture a database, you're gonna end up in another level. That's true. That's how important it is, from a lead gen point of view to build your database. Any questions? Those of you who may have came in late, by the way, I'm Wayne Janner. Yes,
The areas that you're farming, are you relying heavily on mailings? Or what's your ratio of mailings versus are you cold calling them? Or are you just,
No,
are you mostly doing mailing?
calling has never been a part of my DNA. I know I'm against the trend on that. I know a lot of people do.
I don't like doing it either.
I do neighborhood events. You know, we did a 4th of July parade where all the kids decorate their bikes and stuff, and I got big popcorn machines on a cart. I could make it. And people do, and I would say that probably the biggest benefit is, the people that put on the parade are all volunteers from the Home Association board. They loved having me there, a volunteer. Now they all know me on a first name basis, with every one of them, and it's like 10, 12 on the board, I don't know, count. But yeah, I'll do more of those kinds of things, anything I can do. So I will partner with the local elementary school. And, I'm going to, I went to the principal and said, I'd like to have, 3 or 4 times a year where I'll come in and I'll do either popcorn or we're gonna come to ice truck. I want to do it at events that draw parents. Haven't sold a house to a 4th grader yet. So, yeah, I want something. Yeah. But, and it didn't have big enough yards. So it, but, I want something there that's gonna get, because, I've got to the point, I think I've marketed the area effectively, that even when people see me, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, I did that.
Wayne, so how do you convert a Kona ice truck into you?
I have a sign that's about this big. I put it on an easel right by where they pick up their order, and say sponsored by,
Okay.
Wayne Janner's got my picture on it. Cost me about $100 of precision printing. I use it over and over. Anything I do. Yeah.
Back to the houses, where people will have low rates, for what it's worth, is just a prediction from Buffini, but he thinks that a lot of those people are actually gonna be moving because they bought that house just to get a low rate. And after a year, maybe 2, they realize that's not the house for them. And they wanna actually look for another house and they're fine with getting a better rate.
Yeah, people talk to people why you move. Rate is never comes up. I mean, they move because of life change. People get rich, people get poor, family gets bigger, family gets smaller. Job takes you somewhere else. I mean, those are the reasons why people move. And that's not driven by interest rate. It's gonna be, and also you wanna know the data there. I don't market to anybody in my neighborhood that's been there less than 3 years. The odds of them selling in less than 3 years is very small, so I'm saving money there. I also know that in one of the 2 subdivisions I market, that the average age is 77. We got a lot of young families coming in. We got a lot of people in their 80s too. Got one guy who's 100 years old. Still living there.
Still living.
What's that? But, there's somebody there, I don't know who it is, but I don't know which that's corner lot. But, the point is I picked an area where, it's on the verge of, we all get old. There's start like a turn. And those people aren't active in the community. They're not out every day. They don't have a job. They don't have relationships with half a dozen realtors.
I like the idea of marketing to them, even if you didn't sell them a house, because with this whole whatever's looming, they're expecting like half of the agents to find a different job the next few years.
Could be.
So those are gonna be orphaned.
Yep.
Right.
There's a lot of those. And it's just cool. Did not mention the fact that people don't follow up.
Yeah.
Why do you end up, Chris wants to transition, get ready for, full room here.
But you keep doing questions and answers, why not?
Oh, okay.
They can go to the bathroom if they need to.
Okay, yeah, if you need a bathroom break or anything, but if there are any other questions, I'm happy to tell, I'll tell you everything I do. If you want to know more, if you want to look for motivation in your business, you want to look for direction in your business. I do have a coaching program for non-new agents. Be happy to talk to you about that. We have the people in our group are cappers. ALC members, top 10%, top 20% agents. You want to be a part of that and part of our community, be happy to talk to you.